Hey guys, welcome to my introduction to insurance sales. Today we're going to be diving into the heart of what we do, restoring homes, rebuilding lives, and guiding homeowners through their insurance claims and process after a storm. Let's start by discussing the role of insurance as it pertains to storm restoration. Let's start with the basics. When a storm hits, customer will file insurance, and insurance is that financial bridge between the devastation and the repair. Our job at Roof Solutions is to help the homeowners walk that bridge without falling into stress, confusion, and costly mistakes. Want to remember, insurance exists for catastrophic events only, not for normal aging of a roof. And that's why our role begins right after the storm. We're not just roofers. I like to think of us as restoration experts, guides to the homeowners, and then also advocates for them. This training is to help you understand how the restoration industry works, guide homeowners through every step of the claims process, and support the people during that time when they need you the most, those most uncertain moments during those storms. Obviously, we want to do all of this profitably, ethically, and legally. Our promise to the homeowners at Roofing Solutions, we hold ourselves to a higher standard, and we promise that we'll act with integrity. We'll recommend what's necessary, nothing more, nothing less. We're never going to push false claims. We don't take shortcuts. We meet industry standards. Our inspection reports are honest and accurate. We communicate clearly throughout the process. We educate our clients on their options, respect every person we deal with. We make the claims process easy, and then we leave homes better than we find them. Our goal is to raise that bar for the roofing industry. We want to be the standard. We want to be the high mark. Just a brief history about how homeowner insurance got its start. It began after the Great Fire of London in 1666, and then actually made it to the U.S. in the 1730s. Ben Franklin actually helped create the model that we use today. In the 1750s. Insurance, what is insurance restoration? It's restoring storm damaged properties under homeowners policy, and that's going to include your wind, your hail, water intrusion is typically all we deal with, but it also deals with fire and other perils. It is not fixing cosmetic wear or aging. It is catastrophe related. One major problem in our industry is the growing scrutiny amongst the public. More storms equal more bad faith contractors. So we constantly have to deal with the fact that there's just a negative stigmatism about us doing business and not doing it the right way. Some problems, you have fraud, incomplete work, inflated invoices, and then waived deductibles as well. It's the contractor's responsibility ultimately to uphold the ethics, protect the homeowners, and then represent our industry well. In our line of work, we want to keep retail and insurance separate. There's a lot of times where we go back and forth. What may start as retail ends up insurance. What may start as insurance ends up retail. And we want to be the driving force, not the homeowner. So it's important that we explain both sides so that they understand what is retail, what is insurance, and the pros and cons to both. With retail jobs, those are going to be your paid out-of-pocket jobs. They're not covered by insurance. Also, they may involve financing, but it's typically out-of-pocket for the homeowner. Your insurance jobs, they're going to be driven by your covered perils, the wind, the rain, water intrusion, hail, like we talked about, and that'll be processed with adjusters. That includes proper documentation, such as the scope of labor, and then documentation through us as well. Key coverage types we want to talk about. ACV, that's your actual cash value. That pays a depreciated value. Your RCV, that's your replacement cost value. It pays full current replacement cost set by the insurance adjuster. And then your guaranteed replacement, probably less common. They're going to pay whatever it takes, even past the policy limits. It's important for each job to identify the policy and to guide the homeowner towards fair coverage so that they understand what they should be getting based off of the adjustment. To help build your basic knowledge, let's walk through some must-know terms. You'll hear these words constantly in storm work. They matter. First up, ACV and RCV. So ACV is the actual cash value. That is what the roof is worth today. RCV is the replacement cost value, what it costs to put on a new one. If the policy is RCV, the homeowner gets the depreciation back after the job is completed. Next up, deductible. The homeowner is always responsible for this, no exceptions. Offering to cover it is illegal is a huge red flag for the carrier. Loss, peril, exclusions, these all describe what is and isn't covered. When you're talking to homeowners, you don't need to sound like a lawyer. Just know the basics to explain it in plain English. Roof-specific terms. Let's focus on roof-specific language. Roof condition, age, shape, and type all impact whether it qualifies. Gable, hip roofs are common. Flat roofs are harder and costlier to insure. Older roofs may only be eligible for ACV coverage. That's why verifying roof age and documenting its condition is critical. Moisture content, remediation, scope of work. These terms come up a lot when damage is more severe. Know them and use them to build trust and show knowledge. Underwriting, Xactimate, supplements. Insurance companies use systems like Xactimate to estimate repair costs. We do too. It keeps everyone on the same page, but carriers often leave out important line items like flashing, starter, trip edge, or ventilation. That's where supplements come in. It's not being greedy, it's being thorough. You want to make sure the customer is covered for the items that they have on their roof. This is the standard flow when working with just the homeowner and the insurance company. It starts with storm response and ends with claim approval. Every one of these steps, inspection, photos, documentation, and meeting the adjuster, impacts how successful this claim is. Let's take a look at each stage so that you know exactly where your role fits in. The basic claims process is going to follow the same cycle, and it's based on customer, so you could follow a different path, but this is going to be the most basic cycle you see. Most of the time there's going to be a damage estimate, so the claim is filed, and then there's going to be an estimate sent in either by the contractor or the insurance adjuster. There'll be a settlement offer from the insurance company, and they're obligated to make a decision within 90 days. Most of the time, the adjusters are going to tell you in about 10 days you'll hear something back. Negotiation. So this is the portion of the claim where if there's supplements or anything like that, all this is done during this time frame. And then you have the payout. So that's your final settlement that's paid out to appropriate parties so that repairs, replacements can begin. Next up, let's talk about the adjusters. These are the folks that are reviewing and negotiating your claims on behalf of the carrier. We'll break down the 4 types you'll run into and how each one of them approaches the claims. Understanding these roles will help you stay professional, strategic, and effective. Field versus desk adjusters. Field adjusters are the ones that actually go to the job site. They're the ones climbing roofs, taking pictures, and writing initial estimates. Desk adjusters will work remotely to follow up on claims that have been filed. They review reports, photos, and contractor documentation. That's why your job to document everything is so important, because you may never ever meet the desk adjuster making the final call. So you want to be sure to have anything that you need to help make that case for the homeowner documented well. That way they get that to the desk. Now, staff versus independent adjusters. Staff adjusters are full-time employees of the insurance company. Their main job is to protect the company's money, but many of them also care about fair outcomes and doing things right. These guys are going to be the branded guys you see. They're probably going to have a company car and branded in the company's logoed material. Independent adjusters, on the other hand, they're hired on contract when storms overwhelm the local staff. You'll see this a lot when there's major storms come through an area. You're going to get independent adjusters that aren't typically from this area. I know a lot of times we'll see them come from Florida, Tennessee. They'll basically just come in to help take over some of the load so that we can get these claims processed a lot quicker. They still represent the carrier's interests, but they are less familiar with local building codes, so you got to take that into account. And always assume that they're focused on minimizing payouts. Lastly, public adjusters, or PAs. They work for the homeowner, not the insurance company. These are brought in when a claim is denied, underpaid, or gets stuck. It's important to know that, we don't act as public adjusters ourselves, but we can support the homeowner if they choose to hire one and work with the PA to help build a case for the homeowner. All right, let's talk about those adjuster meetings and best ways to handle those. Establishing a positive relationship with your insurance adjuster is definitely key to the claim success. A contractor should approach these meetings with professionalism, preparation, and mutual respect. Before the meeting, it's important you want to review all your reports, your photos, estimates, any local building code upgrades. That way you have an understanding of what you're dealing with prior to getting on the roof with the adjuster. Be thorough and familiar with the scope and expected issues. You want to arrive early, set up any ladders, greet the homeowner, just let them know you're here for them, and then create just a calm, confident presence. Once the adjuster arrives, introduce yourself and the homeowner to the adjuster. Take the lead in creating that first interaction with the adjuster. Make sure you trade business cards and just establish a rapport together. One thing I like to do is talk to the adjuster and just let them know, hey, I'm always wanting to learn more about the claims process and what you guys do. I'm here to help you any way you may need me. I'm here as an advocate for the homeowner, but I'd like to just watch and see how you operate. I think it's important to kind of take those guards down and let them know I'm here as an advocate for the homeowner, but I'm also here to maybe learn a little bit from you. During the inspection, you want to be present and respectful. Let the adjuster lead the inspection. Offer any clarifying details he may ask. If he asks you regarding storm date, any kind of damage locations that you may have seen, and a lot of times they'll hand you a piece of chalk and say, mark what you see. Politely highlight any missed items or code upgrades you want to make sure end up on the claim themselves. After the inspection, you want to ask the adjuster or the homeowner if they have any follow-up questions. Clarify the next steps and offer continued support. One thing you can do is offer a free Xactimate here. We can do that for them. Like to offer the company cam links to any photos we have prior inspection and any documentation that they may need from us, whether it's an ISA or whatnot. It's important to frame this meeting as a collaboration, not a confrontation. It helps solidify the role as a trusted advisor and can actually open doors for future referrals from adjusters and satisfied homeowners. Building a respectful, professional relationship with adjusters makes a measurable difference in the claim outcomes. As a roofing contractor, you should view these meetings not as adversarial, but as a collaborative opportunity. All right, so we've learned a little bit about insurance and adjusters, and now we're ready to move to day one, that storm response strategy. So the faster we can locate these affected neighborhoods, obviously, the faster we can be on site helping homeowners before the competition shows up. The technology now gives us a tremendous advantage. We're no longer guessing which neighborhoods were hit. We have real-time, verifiable data on exactly where hail or high winds cause damage. We have tools that can deliver hail wind verification reports immediately after a storm, continuously updated maps that track weather events as they happen, and hour-by-hour storm analysis. So we know exactly when and where impact occurred. These aren't just pretty pictures. They're backed by weather monitoring and can pinpoint neighborhoods, streets, and even blocks that took the hardest hit. Our storm tracking software doesn't just tell us where the damage happened. It integrates with our workflow. From one platform, we can identify hail, wind-struck areas, manage customer information, schedule and track inspections, create inspection reports and damage photos. This isn't just tracking storms, it's accelerating the entire sales process. The benefit of that is the fast response. The important data goes into Job Nimbus. We have historical data as well. One of the biggest benefits for using the HailPoint is the weather reports. That's claim evidence. It's proof for insurance. If adjuster says the roof damage is wear and tear, we can pull those storm impact maps and show exact hail and wind readings for that location and date. And that evidence can make a huge difference in getting a claim approved. Bottom line is storm maps, tracking technology. It helps us find the damage first, respond faster, and document it better than anyone else. We'll combine this with our local presence, our professional service, and we put ourselves in the best situation to help customers. So this is shortly after the storm where we've kind of cased out and found neighborhoods that we want to hit. We may have had leads in neighborhoods where we had another claim filed and we're hitting neighbors' doors. The big takeaway here, your role isn't just to sell roofs at this point, it's to sell the inspection, The inspection is the gateway to everything we do. Immediately after the storm, our main goal is simple: get on as many roofs as possible, as quickly as possible. We're not closing the roof job at the door. We're offering a free professional inspection, and we're doing it at volume. That's how we protect homeowners, build trust, and position Roofing Solutions as a local expert, not a storm chaser. When that storm hits, the speed is key. The clock is already ticking. If it's a large storm, we're going to have folks coming from everywhere. Storm chasers will be hitting. If the storm happens in the morning, you better be ready to knock that afternoon. If it's later in the day, be knocking first thing in the morning. Same day or next day outreach is critical for this. The faster we make contact, the more homeowners we help, and the less chance they sign with someone else first. Make no bones about it, it is a race. So when we're knocking at that door, our goal at the door is simple. We want to create relationships in our community. We want to show we're local, present, and here to help. Identify storm damaged areas and make yourself visible. You know, we have wrapped vehicles, we have trucks everywhere. Homeowners will recognize us. You know, you want to educate those homeowners on common issues in the area, what kind of weather damage you're seeing, wear and tear on their roof that may not be weather related, and then any updated building codes. You want to keep a service first mentality at all times. You're there to serve, help if they have trees that need to be cut, if they have branches and limbs need to be removed, debris. Plan on working that day. So you're at the door. You want to start with a friendly, confident introduction. Hi, I'm with Roofing Solutions. We're local. We're helping homeowners in the area with a free, no obligation storm damage inspection after this recent weather. Have you had anyone take a look yet? From there, you want to listen. Ask how they're doing after the storm. Let them share their experience. Remember, storms can be stressful, and showing that empathy definitely builds trust with the homeowner. Scan for visible damage: cracked siding, dented gutters, shingle debris on the ground, clusters of dents on their car or AC unit. Point these out and explain why an inspection makes sense to them. Tell them, hey, it's free. It's not going to cost you a dime, and it's to check for early signs of damage before leaks or water intrusion begins. We'll walk them through the best option: repair, replacement, or simply another checkup later. Remember, first impressions matter. Show up clean in Roofing Solutions gear, branded, professional materials in hand, your clipboard, your tablet. If you have a safety vest, make sure you have one of those on. Read the room. You know, if they're worried, then match their urgency. Never downplay their damage. Say, look, we can handle this for you. You'll be a priority, and we'll make this process easy. Once they agree to that inspection, you know, you want to capture everything you need: insurance company name, roof age and history, homeowner or renter confirmation. Make sure they are the homeowner. If they're not, you got to talk to that homeowner. You can't go through the renter for this stuff. And then best contact details. Make sure you're doing all that and getting that stuff in our CRM. This information is going to save time, and it's going to avoid delays later. They may tell you they've already talked to another contractor. Don't back off. Offer them a second opinion. You know, if they're not ready, then leave behind your card, a brochure, and just let them know you're in the area. All right, guys. Now we're ready to complete the process of performing a roof inspection for an insurance claim. This inspection is crucial. It helps identify damage, ensures the insurance adjuster has accurate information, and protects the homeowner's investment. We'll start with the material inspection. The exterior roofing material takes the most abuse from the elements: wind, rain, hail, and sun. During your inspection, ask yourself, are there missing, broken, or poorly aligned shingles? Do you see stains, moss, or rust? Are all the seams properly sealed and insulated? Remember, the surface level damage may indicate larger underlying issues. Always photograph and document what you see. Next, we'll check the structure. This reveals the damage you might not see from the surface. You want to look for signs of sagging or uneven roof planes, storm damage to the chimney, or flashing. The number of roofing layers, multiple layers can hide issues and may require full replacement. Don't forget, structural issues can affect the home safety, so definitely be thorough here. Drainage problems can cause costly repairs, from mold removal or remediation to full re-roofing. Some of the areas you want to check: are all the roofing components secure? Is the flashing, caulking around chimneys and sidewalls intact? Is the roof deck firm, or does it feel kind of spongy or crack or bounce when you walk on it? Any signs of water penetration? Are drain pipes carrying water away from the foundation? Are the granulars or storm debris in the gutters? Trash or debris blocking gutters or drain pipes? Or are drain pipes securely fastened to the gutters and the walls? Next, you want to check the chimneys, vents, and air ducts. Uh, these are common leak points because they penetrate the roofing and insulation layers. You want to inspect for tight-fitting flashing around all protrusions and look for any moisture or staining that could indicate a vent failure. Ventilation inspection. Ventilation is about more than airflow. It can be tied to insurance funding if upgrades are required to meet local building codes. I always ask, they're discontinued or outdated materials that may need replacing. Does the roof meet all the current local code requirements? And are upgrades necessary for compliance? Workmanship and attic inspections. Any inspection we do on a roof, we always want to get an attic if possible. Attic can reveal a lot of what the surface of the roof doesn't. The attic will show you poor workmanship. It also can affect the insurance claim. When you're talking non-nailable surfaces, check for mold, condensation, signs of pests, the pipes, vents, wiring. This is a good opportunity to see what you can't see from the rooftop. If a roof was recently repaired, was it done to proper standards? Look for dark spots, swelling wood beams, or water spots on the walls. All these indicate moisture intrusion. You want to remember, a good inspection isn't just about finding visible damage. It's about telling the whole story of the roof's condition, both inside and out. Your thoroughness helps homeowners get the coverage they need, and it ensures that we maintain our reputation for accuracy, professionalism, and trust. So we're going to talk a little bit about storm damage, specifically the wind and hail, what you should look for after severe weather. These two forces of nature are among the most common and most costly causes of roof damage. Let's break them down. So the wind can be sneaky. It doesn't always cause obvious destruction right away, but even small hidden damage can shorten the life of your roof, and it can lead to costly repairs down the road. On asphalt shingle roofs, strong gusts, especially straight line winds, can slip underneath the edge of the shingles and lift them up. Older shingles, which are way more brittle, may crack when this happens. Newer shingles may curl, and once they curl, they often stay that way, leaving them vulnerable. In some cases, shingles can be completely dislodged as the wind pulls them from their adhesive strip and even rips them away from the nail holding them in place. Heavy winds combined with torrential rain can also strip away the shingles granulars. Those granulars help reflect heat and sunlight, and without them, the roof is going to age faster. And where do those loose granulars go? Right into your gutter system, mixing with leaf, litter, debris, and that clogs your gutters and may even cause water to back up into your roof. Wind itself can also be tough on gutters. High gusts can pull gutters off the mountings, bending and twisting them so they no longer work properly. In extreme cases, parts of the roof deck, the wood under your shingles, can loosen or break apart. Metal roofs, they're durable, but they can still suffer when high winds loosen the panels or break seams, which compromises the waterproofing. Tile roofs, we don't see a ton in this area. High winds can knock those tiles loose or even cause them to crack and sometimes break surrounding tiles as well. So hail damage, what do we look for here? Hail is notorious for damaging everything in its path. And while we've seen, pictures of the baseball-sized chunks of ice on roofs and patios after storms, the truth is the much smaller hailstones can still cause serious damage. Round indentions on your roof might be hail, but not always. For example, fallen acorns can leave similar marks, but they're far less destructive and not covered by homeowners insurance. Hailstorms are getting more violent and causing a lot more damage. When we talk about hail, size really matters for damage potential. Here's a quick visual scale. The pea-size hail, you're talking 1/4 of an inch. Nickel, we're about 7/8. A quarter is about an inch. A golf ball, which you hear a lot, is about 1 3/4 inches. And a tennis ball, you're looking at about 2.5 inches. And softball, if we ever see that, that's 4 inches. Even the hail the size of a nickel can damage roofing materials under the right conditions. When hailstones hit an asphalt shingle roof, they create indentions that can lead to pinholes, allowing water and moisture to penetrate the underlayment, possibly even through the roof deck itself. They also compromise the shingle's granular coating, which helps regulate surface temperature. Without it, the asphalt material underperforms, and then the roof's lifespan decreases. Hail can fall at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour, and even at lower speeds, it can dent a metal roof. These dents compromise protective coatings and make the metal more vulnerable to rust, and because it reduces its ability to resist the heat from the sun's UV rays. When it comes to tile, slate, wood shake, they're generally more resilient. The surfaces can resist most hail strikes unless the hailstones are extremely large and dense. And cedar shake can pretty much rebound from any impacts that it has without permanent damage. When hail or wind damage is suspected, insurance adjusters may require a test square to document the damage. And let's talk about how that process works. So you want to choose an area where the hail or wind damage is clearly visible and where you've marked on each elevation. You want to draw a square using a chalk outline. It should be a 10-foot by 10-foot square in a color that contrasts with the roof surface. You'll label the location with north, south, east, west, front, back, left, right, whichever you're using. And then identify your damage by circling your hail dents, slash marking your wind damage shingles, and listing any defects you may see. You want to lift the tabs to check for seal failure and then photograph each hit. So you'll count the hits and then record that total number of hail strikes or wind damage shingles inside the square and then note it next to the sloped label. Lastly, you'll want to take an overview shot plus one close-up photo per hail hit or damaged shingle, and then label them accordingly for insurance review. A pro tip here, you should always think like an adjuster during this process. Insurance reps may ask you to verify each hit shown in the photos while on site, so make sure you're taking plenty of photos when it comes to that. Occasionally, you'll be asked to do a brittle test. On roofs with borderline wind or hail damage, a brittle test can determine whether the damage is repairable. If damaged shingles cannot be repaired, the roof may require full replacement. And identifying brittle shingles can be key to meeting the 25% unrepairable threshold for insurance to approve a total replacement. To be valid, a brittle test must be random, representative, and repeatable. Let's discuss a little bit further on how to perform that brittle test. So documenting, you want to outline the shingles to be tested. Note the slope direction and mark them BT for brittle test. Release the adhesion, so you want to gently loosen the lower edge using a sharp trowel. Never pull from the corner, that invalidates the test. Lift the shingle, flex the shingle edge to about a 45-degree angle 2 to 3 times. If cracks or seam splits appear, the shingle is beyond repair. If the shingle remains flexible, it may still have serviceable life. Because there's no strict industry standard, having an experienced adjuster or roofing specialist present ensures the test is done correctly and the results are credible for insurance purposes. Some best practices for your photo documentation. You want to always use a good quality smartphone, professional camera, or a drone, and use it at your highest settings. Now, we use company cam, so if you go into your company cam settings, you want to use the ultra fine, the best quality when it comes to your images. Highlight damaged areas with chalk or digital arrows or boxes. Use the technology that you have so that you can help describe what you're looking at. Indicate your slope directions, north, south, east, west. Description. Explain details that may not be obvious in the photo. And another big one, you want to make sure that your geo tags are on for all your photos so that your location and your time date stamp are shown in the photo as well. If you have some before photos, if available, always include those images from before the storm, from the homeowner, past inspections, or even sources like Google Earth to show damage is storm related. Perimeter shot. So each side of the home, north, south, east, west, additional structures like garage or sheds, and you want to make sure you're capturing them from far away so you get as much of the big picture as possible. Slope shots. Each roof slope should be included in the photos you have, including your dormers and chimneys, additional structures and slopes, and then drone shots for top view downs and showing neighboring damage with permission. With your photos, you want to work slope by slope, slightly lift the shingles to show adhesion failure, circle hail hits, your test squares, mark your missing shingles digitally if you need to, and then document your tarps and your code violations. When it comes to gutters, photograph the granules in the gutters and downspouts, and then look for any dents, cracks, separated joints, loose nails, or screws. For siding and collateral, you were looking for dents, cracks, missing siding, damage to windows and screens, vehicles, garage doors, mailboxes, anything with soft metal. Sometimes your HVAC units are also a good spot for this. Photos in the attics and interiors, you want signs of leaks, water stains, or mold, exposed roof layers, or even if you have some structural damage in there as well. All right, so now we're going to cover what happens when your claim is fully approved. We'll show you how to review the scope provided by the insurance company. And then finally, we'll talk about if your claim is denied or partially approved, how to handle that and where to go at that point. A claim approval, you're fully approved. If the process is followed correctly and the claim is filed in good faith, you should receive full approval. So here are your next steps. So you want to get a unredacted copy of all the insurance documents and then discuss the potential supplements with the client. Now, explain the process of supplementing and prepare them for the possibility of additional funds from the insurance company. Reinforce that they are fully covered. Ask if the client has a mortgage company. If they do, then prepare them for the process of distribution through that mortgage company. Explain the documents we'll need to complete from the mortgage company. Remind them that the mortgage company sometimes delay payments significantly. To release the remainder of the claim funds, most insurance companies will require a certificate of completion. This could be a signed contract, receipts proving the work was completed, and then photo evidence of the repairs or replacement. The older the roof, the more money will be held back in depreciation. So it's important to keep accurate logs and prove that all the work has been completed. So next we'll look at a scope of work. Just note this is a sample and it's provided for reference only. Paperwork may vary in language and format depending on the insurance provider. We'll walk through the key sections you'll find in most scopes, explaining what each term means for the homeowner. Number one is homeowner responsibility. Insurance companies will emphasize in writing that it is the homeowner's sole responsibility to hire and authorize the right contractor for the work. This is exactly why it's so important for us to educate the homeowner on why we will deliver the best service and ensure the job is done right. Number two is line item total. This is the total value of all items in the estimate, plus possible adjustments for labor minimums. A labor minimum is included to cover a certain minimum number of hours for things like drive time, setup time, applicable administrative cost, in addition to the actual repairs. Number three, general contractors overhead and profit, or O&P. This is the general contractor's charge for coordinating the repairs. It is typically a percentage added to cover the cost of managing the job from start to finish. Number four is replacement cost value, or RCV. This is the estimated cost to repair or replace the damaged property without deducting for depreciation. RCV represents what it would cost to replace the property with something new at today's prices. Number five, depreciation. Depreciation is a decrease in value of property over time. This can be due to wear and tear, age, or condition. It also could include your discontinued materials. Depending on your policy, a portion or all of this amount may be eligible for replacement cost benefits. Number six, deductible. The deductible is the amount the homeowner is responsible for paying out of pocket. The insurer will pay for losses up to the policy limits after the deductible has been applied. Number seven, net actual cash value payment, or ACV. This is the initial payment from the insurance company. It represents the replacement cost value minus depreciation and the deductible. Number eight, a very important one, non-recoverable depreciation. This is depreciation applied to items that are not eligible for replacement cost benefits. Once an item has non-recoverable depreciation, that amount will not be paid out later, even after repairs are completed. Number 9, total maximum additional amount incurred. This is the total recoverable depreciation available after the actual repair or replacement of the property has been completed and verified. Number 10, total amount of claim if incurred. This is the total potential claim amount, including the net actual cash value payment and the total maximum additional amount available if occurred. So that covers your scope of work on a approved claim. And now let's talk about claim denial, whether it's partially approved or full denial. Even when accurate evidence is provided, there's always a chance of denial or just partial approval. It's important to educate the homeowner about this possibility ahead of time and let them know it's not the end. If they want to fight it, which they should, we can push for reinspection. Here's how to move forward. Recommend the homeowner call their insurance company and request a second adjuster inspection. You want to follow up and make sure that the adjuster has responded and is scheduled for that reinspection. If necessary, escalate by having the homeowner call their insurance agent to complain about the denial or partial approval. If you haven't heard back from the homeowner, follow up with them. Make sure they see the urgency of the repair and that it's clear if we don't take care of this, more damage could happen. Be present for the second adjuster meeting. If the claim is still denied, there are still options. If the homeowner is willing, they can hire a public adjuster to dispute the claim or even sue the insurance company. Keep in mind, both options can add significant time to the claim process, especially since it's already been denied once. Throughout the continued denial, either way, you want to communicate clearly with the homeowner that the roof damage needs to be mitigated as soon as possible to prevent more serious and costly problems. At this point, you may want to lead them into financing options while the claim is still being worked on. In closing, understanding these steps ensures the homeowner knows exactly what their insurance paperwork means and why choosing the right contractor makes all the difference in the outcome of their claim.